Nick Tandy, what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Did even give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Host your mainsails and weigh anchor. Let's get ready to go raiding because tonight it is the King of Vikings 2015 here on RaceSpotTV. Rachel Whiteford and Jake Sperry here live at Brands Hatch as we get ready to bring you all the action from Heat 1 of the Race of Vikings. It's going to be an exciting one tonight, of course. A historic circuit here at the 2.61 mile, 4.21 kilometer Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Ready for this multi-class but not multi-class event. Of course, they have an interesting system here for tonight. We'll be running the Spec Racer Ford and Skip Barber car with appropriate weight ballast in those cars to make them relatively equal on track. So Jake, this is really down to different drivers in different cars, a handle in some fairly unique ways but at the same time relatively similar. And of course, finishing position will dictate what car they're in for the next round.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be interesting to see which driver chooses which car, and more importantly, which driver is going to get that advantage or disadvantage in regards to where they qualify on the grid, Rachel.
Very much so, of course. Odd numbers in qualifying will be in the Skip Barber car for the first heat, so we'll be seeing those guys on the grid right now. Realistically, we should be looking at the left-hand lane of Skip Barbers and the right-hand lane of Spec Fords, which could make things incredibly exciting as we approach Paddock Hill for that first turn. But it's going to make a very interesting race. Both these cars have a percentage, should we say, of lift-off oversteer, which does vary. Of course, we'll get those qualifying results up for you shortly as the session ticks over, but the handling is similar yet different. Of course, the Spec Ford doesn't rotate as much as the Skip Barber does. It's bigger, a bit heavier. Of course, closed wheels, so you can rub a little bit more than you might otherwise. As we're going to get those results up for you on screen now and run through qualifying whilst we wait for those drivers to grid. Starting on pole will be Johan Hallberg in that number 1 spot in the number 87 machine. On his outside will be Fredrik Rasmussen. Behind them, Hans Gunnar Hansen and Michael Engstrom. Jacob Groth and Matthias Norling. For Anders Berving and Joel Voxberg, from Gregoriussen and Jimmy Nilsson, Per Sager and Carl Arne Vonstrand, Jens Hartvig, Robert B. Eriksson, and starting at the back, Daniel Holbing. There's going to be a short grid tonight, of course, 15 cars we're looking at, as we see that beautiful striated starting grid there. Spec Fords on your right, Skip Barbers on the left. Car engines start to rev up now as we get ready to go. Green flag will be out. We are racing with a great start there by Hallberg in the Spec Racer Ford at the front. The Spec Ford's definitely getting the jump on the line here over the Skip Barbers. So we see 1, 2, 3 of them take the lead before the lead Skip Barber even arrives at Paddock Hill. We're going to see in turn 1, nothing happening so far, but everything running cleanly throughout your field as we arrive now at Druid's hairpin. As we see a Skip Barber there pushing his way up into second spot as a loose car there. I believe that is the car of Jacob Groth. It is. He's the number 201 Spec Racer Ford. Just getting a little bit loose there on the traffic as we have cars running wide behind him. Jake, it's a good start.
Yeah, it was a great start for these Spec Ford cars, of course, getting the jump off the line as they head through Surtees. And now down towards Paddock Hill. At the front is Johan Hallberg, the poleman. But look at the Skip Barber here on the left-hand side, trying to make the move here for second. They're going to be too wide as they head down Dingledale and into the right-hander. Will he get there first? Yes, he will. But they're still going to be side-by-side as he gives the room. Will he make it stick? I think they're still side-by-side, Rachel.
Yeah, he's just managed to clear him there. That's Fredrik Rasmussen, the lead Skip Barber. course, this car a little bit quicker in general throughout the lap, but it certainly turns better than the Spec Ford, has better balance and a little bit more downforce, but a car starting to work his way towards the front of your field. There's another Skip Barber coming through, that is Mikael Engström. He will get through that position there as we approach now. That is one of the more interesting corners we have here, of course, Jake. That is Sterling's Bend, a tough corner. Of course, sheen curve before it, very fast as we arrive here at the final corner.
Yes, we've got a crash here. It's the number 008 car of Matthias Norling, and you can see him there on his side in the gravel there. That is a shame, because he would have had a good race as we get to a replay.
Yeah. Replay up there for you, and you just see behind him, that is the Spec Racer Ford there of the number 29 machine, driven by, I believe that is Pierre Seger, just outbraking himself, runs into the back of that Skip Barber car, and bing bang bosh, off he goes. The first casualty of the King of Vikings is unfortunately Matthias Norling. But towards the front there, it's still Johan Halberg leading, but close behind him here, Fredrik Rasmussen catching rapidly as he will back off before Surtees. Getting ready to take a run down Pilgrim Drop, as he will get a good run from the corner here. Going to line up now. We should see him passing as we arrive towards the bottom of the hill, Jake, for Hawthorne's Bend.
Yes, it'll be interesting. As you can see, he moves over to the right-hand side. We'll have the inside line as they head into the right-hander. Will he get the move stuck before they make the turn? Yes, he will. New leader. It is now the lead car of Rasmussen.
It is very much so, and in third position scored, I should say, is the car there of Hans Gunnar Hansen. He's trying his best. He's actually in second position now. He's made the move there on Johan Halberg, but not really able to make a stick here. Mikael Enström behind them, though, in the other Skip Barber car, sitting in P number 4 right now. Starting to gain here. We could be seeing these Skip Barbers having an advantage, of course. There is a weight penalty, Jake, but weight and handling, really, the Skip Barber car seems to be dominant here at Brands Hatch.
Yes, it's dominant at the moment, but you do have to remember there are two SRF cars, and then there are two Skip Barbers as well, so you have to say it is pretty even at the moment between these cars. It's just going to be interesting to see which one is going to be faster in this field, which one will take the advantage as we head into the second heats.
Very much so. We have another car that's pretty banged up, trying to find out exactly what happened to him. That is, Tom Gregorison. It's the start of lap number 2. Loses it out of Paddock Hill. Gets collected by a Skip Barber car. We're going to have to try and get a replay for you there. That was the other car there, the number 12 machine of Jimmy Nilsson involved with that one. Car loses itself round there. The number 49 machine just spins. Nilsson nowhere to go. Well, Tom Gregorison certainly had the worst end of that one. So he'll come down pit road for repairs. We're going to see what happens with Nilsson, though. This car seems surprisingly okay, apart from the loss of front wing, Jake. The car still keeping pace.
Yeah, it's still keeping pace, but he's just got to worry if he's going to lose 1 or 2 tenths in overall pace overall, because he might just start to fall off the back of a couple of these cars. As we cut now, Nilsson is going to be under attack here from Robert B. Eriksson as we head into the right-hander. He's trying to go for 2 for 1 here. Will he get the move stuck? I don't know. It's side by side, trying to come back. Almost contact there, Rachel.
It was. He just tapped into the back there. The number 9 machine of Robert Eriksson. Very close there as Spec Ford runs wide. 13 there of Tor Anders Berven. It's not quite able to hold it as tight there as the Skip Barber cars do. Even without a front wing there, Jimmy Nilsson doing very well. But for the front, want to talk about Fredrik Rasmussen, of course, Jake. That car has been passed now. He just got passed by Johan Halberg, of course. He started in the front row with him. That Spec Ford had dropped back, but he gained up here on Rasmussen, and he has made the pass for the lead. He won't hold it for long. Look at the draft. Those 3 cars at the front, Rasmussen, Halberg, and Hansen, so close there as into the inside of Paddock Hill goes Hans Gunnar Hansen.
Yeah, Hans Gunnar Hansen making a great move down Paddock Hill. He'll be able to try and hold it through Druid. No, has a little look, won't make the space, but you can see runs a little bit wide. Can't manage it, just manages to shut the door, Rachel. This is really exciting battling here. It's a 3-way fight at the front.
It is, and they've pulled away from 4th place. That's Mikael Enström. He's back about 3.5 seconds here as we see Rasmussen got up to the inside of Surtees there. Will he be able to get the run through? He does. It's nice and secure for him, but we thought early on the Skip Barber would be dominant, but these Spec Fords have come back.
Yeah, the Spec Fords had a good start, of course, and now they're showing what they can do. The Ballast, of course, equalising both handling and raw pace up front. As we see another little look at the lead here. Can't make the move stick into the right-hander, but these series of right-handers coming up, Westfield the next one, it looks like it's just going to be a waiting game here for Rasmussen.
Very much so. Of course, the Spec Ford does seem to be a little better in the, should we say, the slower corners, whereas the Skip Barber has a real benefit in those fast corners, so we should be seeing something from Frederick Rasmussen here, especially as we arrive at Clark for the end of the lap. But that's going to be a really tricky one, of course, in clearways. Bringing up towards Paddock Hill, there's definitely a benefit there for the Skip Barber, as we see there. Frederick Rasmussen, his number 6 car, will go to the inside as we come through Clark Curve now. Gets a good run, but again, equally good run there by Hallberg from behind. He will hold that spot for now. Just pushing as hard as he can. Look at the draft.
Oh yeah, the draft clearly being a good help there for Johan Hallberg. But as you can see, into Paddock Hill Bend they go once again. Nothing can be done at the moment because look, Rasmussen is starting to pull away. No, as they close up, and there we go. Gunnar Hansen trying to go down the inside of Druid. They're really tight. He'll see if they can get it sorted into Graham Hill, but no, Hallberg will hold on to the position.
Well, and the fighting's actually hurting them there. Of course, Hallberg and Hansen fighting. It's just letting Rasmussen get away. A Skip Barber car, really good in clean air. Dirty air, not quite as good, but these two guys battling behind them, Jake. Got to be in a good position. He's going to be looking back in that mirror thinking he is in a golden opportunity.
Yes, he'll need to try and make the move stick here as they go down the hill. It's just a matter of Rasmussen is starting to pull away, and because of this battling, they need to now work together to try and pull back onto the lead. If they are looking to try and get as many points as they possibly can heading into the second heat, that is how they need to work, Rachel.
Very much so. Look back in the pack here. We've got a good battle generating there with the number 27 and the 44. Carl Arne Wormstrand and Jens Hartvig. They're passing now as we run down Pilgrim's Drop in the Hawthorne straightaway. Of course, Pilgrim's Drop. I don't really know the name of this area, Jake, but it's what it's always been known as. As we look up there, the move is made and it will stick for the car ahead of the Jens Hartvig. That is Hartvig, actually, sorry, in the 44 Skip Barber car. Takes the position over poor Anders Berven.
Yes, took the position very nicely here as they head through this series of rights. They've just headed through Dingledale into the left-hander here, the first left-hander after a series of 4 rights. But don't forget, there is a car behind them chasing them down. They're also chasing down this Spec Ford in front of them. This is going to be a good little move into clearways and just a little bit too far back right now, but I'm sure they will push on a little bit more.
Very much so. Good group forming up here, of course, and as we see there, that is the number 44 car of Jens Hartvig. Ahead of him, towards Anders Berven, and we also have there Pierre Seger, and Jens Hartvig runs wide and off he goes. No, that's not Hartvig, sorry, that's Carl, no, that is Pierre Seger. He's gone off the track there, big off there heading into Paddock Hill. What was a 4-car battle is now a 3.
Yeah, real shame for Pierre Seger. He was really trying to stay on to that pack after the overtake, and now he's gone and paid the price for it. A real shame there, Rachel.
Very much so. Looking back towards the front of your field, though, Rasmussen's pulling away a big gap now. 0.9 of a second between himself and Hallberg. Hallberg dropping off after that battle he had with Hansen. Cost to both of them, and they're just outside of the draft range now. I think that was what he needed, Jake. Frederick Rasmussen, he needed to break the draft between himself and those two Spec Fords chasing. Seems to have done the trick.
Yes, and now that he's broken the draft, what he can do is put in some solid laps, get away, get to 15 laps, and try and get as many points as he can. At the moment, he's just got to stay calm, keep the errors down to an absolute minimum, and this first heat will be his, all over, signed, sealed, delivered.
Very much so, of course. It will mean he'll be in the Spec Ford next time round, but as we've seen here, Spec Fords can and will keep up as we are approaching that half distance for this first race. 15 laps, of course, and it'll be a total of 18 for the next round. There's a very wide run through Paddock Hill by Rasmussen. Looking back though at the battle we've been watching earlier, poor Anders Berven there in this Spec Ford leading in that group. He was leading, he's now third. Is now ahead of him is Hartvig and not Seger, that's also, I believe, car of Carl Arne Wormstrand, who's now ahead of him. The Skip Barbers down in your mid-pack there, seeming to really benefit in the draft here. They seem to get ahead, but can't drop those Spec Fords unless they fight amongst themselves.
Yes, unfortunately, for the Spec Fords, they're going to have to play the waiting game, hope that the Skip Barbers are going to get into a little bit of a tangle. At the moment, I don't think they are in any sort of position to go into a tangle, but they probably might be thinking, get as many points as you can now, and hope that the second half of the second heat is going to be enough to pull the points difference back.
Very much so. Looking towards the front there, we have, of course, three nations there battling for the lead of this race. We have the leader, Fredrik Rasmussen, he's Danish. Behind him, Johan, Swedish. And behind them, Hans Gunnar Hansen is Norwegian. So, three nations battling hard here as we see this fight starting to develop. Because they have spread out somewhat, but we're only halfway through. There is plenty of time for things to close up. We will see exactly what can happen. But in your middle of your pack there, we have, I think, about 5 Skip Barbers. Jake, Robert B. Eriksson, Jimmy Nilsson. That front wing, of course, Joel Voxberg and Jens Hartvig. They seem to be gapping in terms of, should we say, the slower drivers. Skip Barber certainly seems to be more dominant in those hands.
Yes, unfortunately, they are a little bit more dominant, which is a shame because I would love to have seen some more battles between Skip Barber and SRF. At the moment, Rasmussen is keeping calm, keeping cool here, but it's all going to be down to a battle of patience as he just try and get through 15 laps. As you can see here, Rasmussen doing very well as Carl Ivorstad now in just not quite close enough to the car ahead of him at the moment, which is, sorry, do bear with me, but he is still going as they go through Druids now, very comfortable the gap here as Rachel. I'm sure there is going to be a lot more racing, a lot more wheel-to-wheel action in the second part of this race, and of course into the second heat.
Very much so, Jake, and of course it'll be interesting to see what happens when we switch these drivers around to the other car in this category. Of course, this is not a multi-class event. These Skip Barbers are racing these Spec Racer Fords, so it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how that plays out as we switch these drivers across at the end, but it's certainly developed. Of course, they are reducing the weight ballast on the Skip Barber for the next round. Not sure that will help things. In fact, that should mean we have pretty much Skip Barbers leading this race. But we will have to find out here as Jens Hartvig comes under attack from behind by the 27 of Carl Arne Vornstrand. They are pushing now hard to head it towards Sheen Curve. Love this corner, Jake. It's so fast. Of course, you're grabbing that apex curve as both drivers do, and pushing through so quickly.
Yes, see now into the left-hander, and they're going to be nose to tail right now as they head towards Clearways, the final corner. I don't think he's quite close enough. Pulls out of the slipstream, now back into it to get a lovely run in towards Clearways and now towards Paddock Hill Bend. They are nose to tail at the moment, trying to get underneath that gearbox of the Skip Barber car of Jens Hartvig. Here is Vormstad. Can he get a move here into the right-hander of Paddock Hill Bend? No, he can't, Rachel, and that is a little bit unfortunate.
Very much so, but he has more chance. Of course, draft being a huge thing here. We're pretty close together, so they've every opportunity to get something done. The drivers, though, who really aren't battling anybody at the moment. Well, there is a slight battle. Joel Voxberg there, getting up towards the back of Jimmy Nilsson. We should see a non-damaged Skip Barber, the number 1, making a move on that 12 car without a front wing. That could be a position of change we see fairly shortly. Up the road from them, of course, is Robert B. Eriksson. And a little ahead of them as we say, oh, we have got a good fight here. The 9 and the 201, Skip Barber and Spec Ford. Even at this stage of the race, battling side by side.
Yes, they are, and as they come through the right-hander, it's just going to be a matter of patience for the car behind. See if he can make a mistake for the car in front. This is Robert B. Eriksson here in the SRF, if I'm correct, or is he in the Skip Barber? Give me a second.
That is the Skip Barber car there, the Jacob Groth in the 201. In the Spec Ford even.
Okay, so as we head into the right-hander, then Groth is managing to pull out a little bit of a gap right now, and that is enough to just see himself through a little bit.
It should very much do, as there we see him making that position, but just dropping back. We know that Skip Barber can close up in the faster corners, so really expecting that to be a place where it happens, especially down at Hawthorne. We saw them battling last time by. But of course, this will be for a top 5 position here as look a little bit further ahead in your grid. Mikael Engström there running in 4th. He's got a gap of 4 seconds to the car in front. That's Hansen. Behind him, he has 12 seconds now. Back to Jacob Groth in that 201 car we were just looking at. Big gap, so he's pretty much guaranteed a 4th here. Hopefully he's good in the Spec Ford. He could be in for a great day, but battle between Hallberg and Hansen, it cost them so much. Whilst at one point they were battling for the lead of this race with Rasmussen. Breaking that draft, fighting each other, was everything Rasmussen needed to get away. Rasmussen now 3.7 seconds up the road from Hallberg and Hansen. And even they've split apart now somewhat by about 2 seconds, so very spread out at the front of this race now, waiting for drivers not to make mistakes, of course, as 201 is battling again with the 9, Groth and Eriksson. And we also have the 12 of Nelson and Volksberg in the 1. 2 battles there for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th Jake.
Yes, and it'll be interesting to see who can pick up these minor points. Of course, you don't know how the second heat's going to go, so any point now is vital for the future for later on, as I'm looking at Volksberg's battle here as we head towards the final corner of Clearways, the right-hander, going through their lovely run from the car behind of, I believe it's Jens Hardvik. I'm not too sure.
That is Harvig there behind him, and the number 44 car is actually leading those 2 cars of himself and Carl Arne Vonstrad. It's P9 and P10 on the racetrack. 27 car of Vormstrad doing his best to catch up there, but we've seen them close before. We don't really had anything though for Jens Hartvig. He's had that position for quite a number of laps now. Back up towards the front, though, the gap is actually reduced significantly now, as we have a potential battle developing for your race lead. We've had a mistake for number 6 car. Big mistake, as he's caught in a huge way by Hallberg.
Yes, and whilst we haven't seen that, though, it has been an overtake, and I believe there's going to be an overtake back again as Volksberg gets back past Nielsen, but moving back to Rasmussen. Yeah, it seems he's made a mistake somewhere along the lap. I don't know where, but he's now got all over the back at the moment here from Johan Hallberg. Hallberg now trying to make a move in towards Clearways, I believe this is. Yes, it is. And can he? No, he's not behind at the moment, but he'll have a run into Paddock Hill Bend.
This is exactly what he needed, of course. That draft was broken and Rasmussen was running away. Big error by him, though, means that he's just been caught so fast by Johan Hallberg. As Spec Racer Ford, once it's back in the draft, we know they're fairly equal. These drivers also fairly equal in terms of ability. Denmark leading Sweden right now, but will it stay in the same direction? If they fight, will that bring Gunnar Hansen back in for Norway? We're going to have to find out, but right now, well, it's definitely Denmark leading the King of the Vikings, but well, Sweden in a close second.
Yes, I have to agree with you there. This is really close battling between the nations as they head towards Surtees now for another lap. It seems that he's starting to break away again, is Rasmussen, starting to try and break that slipstream. That's just what he needs to do, put some consistent laps, get back into the rhythm, get back into the groove, and surely he will be able to hold on for another few laps.
That's all he'll need to do, of course, completing lap 12 here. So after this, we will have a total of 2 more laps to complete, 3 more laps even, these drivers. So it will be a tough battle with them being so close together, right on top of each other at the moment. Hallberg closing in once again on Rasmussen. Will he get a good run through Clearways this time? Of course, in the Clark curve, that final corner, will he have the opportunity to do anything here to change the lead of this race? We saw he had the lead early on, of course, but he's not able to hold it from that Skip Barber car of Rasmussen. The Dane charging hard, but Johan Hallberg here doing everything he can to close the gap there. Interesting seeing a Spec Ford just holding on so well. Could be that perhaps this car looks after his tyre a little better. Down to the inside goes Johan Hallberg. Will be scored as your leader, this time by the stripe. Clears him before turn 1. Johan Hallberg is your new race leader with 3 laps to go.
Oh, and this is hotting up. A treat right now. Might be an opportunity back into Druid. Can't do it there. Trying to get the cut back, it seems, won't get it done. We'll hold it in through Graham Hill Bend, but I have to say, Rachel, this is going to be a battle of wits now between Hallberg and Rasmussen.
Very much so. This race is very much hotting up. pretty quiet for a while, but now back on top. As through goes Halberg, very good gapping there in Surtees. Back with the charge comes Rasmussen. Better run in the corner there. Not going to probably see Johan Halberg defend too hard here. Of course, there's plenty of laps to go, and with the draft so strong, there's no point in him defending very hard, but there's Rasmussen going to stay behind him as we head down through Hawthorne. Up towards now the corner of Westfield Bend, up the Derek Minter straight there. As we head up then through Dingle Dell, up across the timing lines for Sheen Curve and Sterling Bend. This last part of the lap, so historic here at Brands Hatch Grand Prix layout, Jake, and some amazing elevation changes for these drivers to handle.
Yes, of course, this track held F1 Grand Prix through the middle of the 80s, so it does have its heritage and it does have its place amongst one of the great tracks, not just in the United Kingdom, but in the entirety of the world here, as we're still looking at this battle between Halberg and Rasmussen as they head now down the pit straight towards Paddock Hill Bend, the right-hander down the hill. Little look, won't go for it right now, but this will be interesting here. With just 2 laps to go, can he hold on, Halberg, to score maximum points?
It's going to be important to find out, and if he does, the onus will be on Rasmussen, as Rasmussen gets a good run up there into the entry of Druids. Can he find a way through? He's saving it. We've seen him lift off a few times there, Jake. Rasmussen saving this car, letting Halberg push hard.
Yes, the overtake that matters is the one that is last, but as you can see, he's trying to have a little look. No, he backs off once again into Surtees. This will be really interesting here. See if he wants to make the move going into the final lap and make a definitive move, or try and hold on for a whole lap if he makes the move right now.
Well, we expect it to be a last lap pass there by Rasmussen. Let him make it safe, but still further back, Jimmy Nilsson and Joel Voxberg. Number 6 and number 7 on the racetrack fighting hard. It was Voxberg last time by the line, but this time it's Nilsson as they head down through Graham Hill Bend up towards 30s as we head down up towards Hawthorne. But those two fighting hard for the middle part of your top 10. Battling very aggressively there. They have passed Groth. Oh, Groth has had a big incident. The 201 Spec Ford. Missed that whilst we've been focusing on the leaders. We'll try and find out what happened to him. Probably won't be able to get you a replay right now. Oh, it was the last lap by, lap 13. 201 there, heading into... Oh, that was the corner there of Westfield Bend. Gets on the rumble strips on lap 13. And loose, very loose. But it was contact there with the Skip Barber car, the 9 of... Yes, it was the 9 of Robert Eriksson. Eriksson running into the back of him, spins him round, flips him over. Replay up hopefully for you of that, as that car heavily damaged there, the 201 Spec Racer Ford of Jacob Groth. But, oh, lap traffic is going to be a factor here. Look at the lead. Halberg still leads, and the final lap has begun. Rasmussen all over him, and lap traffic ahead of them. That is, I believe, Daniel Holbing. That's going to be a major factor in this race here as he gets well out of the way of your leaders. Rasmussen on the attack, big style here. We can see he wants this one badly. Yes, Rasmussen looking for a good run. He has a great run there up towards Pilgrim's Drop and the Hawthorne Straight. Hitting outside. We see a big momentum carrying run around the outside of Hawthorne Bend. We're going to stay with your leaders here for this final half a lap as Rasmussen clears him into Hawthorne. Good run through. He keeps the momentum, but not quite enough there as Halberg will close in. He has to try and break this draft somehow. Good run, but he's not losing the Swedish driver of Johan Halberg. Halberg looks to the inside of Sheet Curve. He won't try here. That'd be brave. Rasmussen will hold on. Great driving, great positioning by Halberg. Oh, he's lost the time. He's had a slowdown penalty, we think. No, he's not. He just lost the time. The car wobbled. Lost that spot there to Johan Halberg. Halberg pulls away. Yes, it is. It's a slowdown penalty from the track marshals. Too much curb used. Fredrik Rasmussen slow to the final corner. That car really not behaving itself as he will come across, and Johan Halberg of Sweden will win round 1 of the King of Vikings, Jake.
Oh, what a shame that was for Fredrik Rasmussen. He had it all sorted with about a quarter of a lap to go. Gets the slowdown penalty, hands the race win over to Johan Halberg. Halberg now has the advantage going into the Skip Barber car for the second heat. What a shame. Hans-Gunnar Hansen will go and take 3rd position in this race, and that is a very, very demanding statement there from Johan Halberg.
It really is, and we'll see the rest of those positions running through now. As the results are up on your screen, Johan Halberg for Sweden will take P1 in round 1 of the King of Vikings 2015. Second place, Fredrik Rasmussen of Denmark. Hans-Gunnar Hansen of Norway in P3. Mikael Enström in P4. Robert B. Eriksson in P5. Joel Voxberg P6. Mikkel Groth P7. Jens Hartvig 7th. Carl Arne Wormstrad in P9. And, oh no, he was going to P7 now. Joel Voxberg in P8. Groth in P9. Nilsson P10. Thor Anders Bevan P9. These results keep changing around all the time. That's awkward. As behind them, Voxberg, Seja, Asker on the lead lap. And not finishing today, Daniel Holbing, Tom Gregorison and Matthias Norling. Well, Jake, round 1's been exciting. We look forward to seeing what happens in the second round. 3 laps longer, tension will be higher, title is on the line.
Yes, and don't forget the Skip Barber's graphic ballast is going to be a little bit lower as well. This will be interesting to see if they will now break to the front and give those cars who are in the SRF a little bit of an advantage now.
It will indeed. This could be an exciting one to see what happens as we'll see those drivers switching around. So it could be a runaway victory here for Johan Halberg of Sweden. We'll have to find out. We're going to go to commercial while we find out about the next session and get things ready for you. So join us after the break for the second race in the 2015 race of the Cup of Vikings, and we will find out exactly who can wear the crown. Join us after the break.
Hey guys, this is Jack and welcome to This Week on iRacing, a brand new series that covers this week's race schedules, live events, and iRacing news. Both the Dallara Dash and Street Stock series are at Charlotte. The Pickup Cup is at the 2007 version of Daytona, now a free track. The Mazda Cup is at Okayama. While the full 2015 season of the NASCAR iRacing series ended at Homestead this week, Season 4 continues on with Class A at Daytona and Class B and C at Watkins Glen. The IndyCar Oval Series is at Texas, while the IndyCar Winter Series is at Zandvoort. The GT1 World Championship is at Suzuka this week, while both the Prototype Challenge and the IMSA Sports Car Challenge are at Sebring. The Roof Cup and Star Mazda are both at Summit Point, and the Blancpain Sprint Series is at Twin Ring Motegi. In short track this week, the SK Modified is at Langley, while the late model is at USA International. Both Skip Barber and V8 Supercars are at Monza. Last week, Mazda Motorsports announced Glenn McGee as the winner of the 2015 Mazda Road to 24 Shootout. Glenn and Richard Eklund, who both represent some of iRacing's greatest talent, raced in the shootout against other up-and-coming drivers for the opportunity to race in the 2016 Battery Tender Mazda MX-5 Cup. Glenn McGee emerged as the shootout winner, and we can't wait to follow his on-track career next year. Check out our video recap of the event on our YouTube channel. Black Friday is this week, but iRacing's biggest deal of the year is already here. All memberships are now 50% off through December 4th. If you're an existing member, you can renew your account for only $49 per year, half off the regular price of $99 with this promo code. New members, head over to iRacing.com/membership and select the subscription that works best for you at 50% off. Expired accounts can also take advantage of this sale with this unique code. The fourth round of the Blancpain Endurance Series took place this past weekend, and Inex Racing Team is dominating the standings, with Inex Racing Blue and Inex Racing Yellow in first and second place. 4Racer Coanda SimSport follows closely in third. As this season comes to a close with 2 rounds left in the series, the Blancpain Endurance Series takes place again this weekend at Monza for round 5. The NASCAR iRacing Pro Series hits Auto Club Speedway this week. Tune in tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. GMT, to watch round 4 with live coverage provided by Live Sim Racing TV. The iRacing Road Pro Series hits Suzuka this week. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. GMT for round 4, with coverage provided by RaceSpotTV. That's all for this week. We want to wish a happy and safe Thanksgiving to our fellow American iRacers. Check back here next week for another installment of This Week on iRacing.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this is being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race. So it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to round 2 of the 2015 King of Vikings tournament. We've all come back from raiding for the first time, and well, the coastal towns and cities of Europe will never be the same, but we're here at Brands Hatch for the second race. Drivers, of course, that were in the Skip Barber car the first round are now in the Spec Ford, and those guys who've been manhandling the Spec Ford around this track will be very relaxed in the cockpit of the very smooth Skip Barber car. Of course, the Skip Barber has reduced weight penalty for this round, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, but we do have news, Jake, from the last round with Rasmussen and his moment. Of course, we thought he'd had a bit of a moment. He'd lost some time to the drivers behind him. He'd actually been saving fuel very aggressively. And, of course, through Schinker, Frederick Rasmussen did run out of fuel on that final lap. Still made it home second, so everything to play for. And,
yes,
well, he may need to win to take the championship.
Yes, everything to play for, of course, the second heat. If there is a certain tie in points, results from the second heat will decide who will win. So between the battle of Hallberg and, of course, Rasmussen. Yeah, Rasmussen. The battle will be decided on who will finish in the high position in the case of a tie.
Very much so. And we're still waiting, actually, for Frederick Rasmussen to take to the pits of this race. He's not currently scored in, so we'll have to find out exactly what happens to him. If he doesn't show up, that could be awkward. It will give this away. So, of course, Johan Hallberg, the driver from Sweden, who is leading currently, the 1 minute 40.083. This will be very interesting indeed. No sign of Rasmussen yet, though. Perhaps a little bit upset by his error of judgment in that previous race. He has not taken to the track yet, so we will keep an eye on that one for you. And we'll see exactly what happens, but of course, it's going to be an exciting race. We have another 18-lap race now for these drivers to go through. Slightly longer. Of course, the weight is different in these cars, so it'll make things very exciting. Of course, for the second round, I believe we've been told that the cars will have 80 kilos of ballast in the Skip Barber cars and none in the RaceSpotTV Fords. So this should be equal and faster yet again. And of course, the winner from the results in Heat 2 will dictate the finishing positions. And if it is a tie, for example, if Rasmussen wins this race and Hallberg comes in second, the finishing position in round number 2 will dictate or break the tie. So if you can win the race, Frederick Rasmussen will win the King of Vikings. Tall order, Jake.
Yes, a very tall order indeed. It'll be difficult to try and overcome Johan Hallberg in the what seemed to be the faster Skip Barber car for the second heat here. As we see, the checkered flag is now out. The final laps will now be completed, and it looks like Hallberg has seemed to have got pole here.
He does, and well, this is exciting because there is no Frederick Rasmussen. Frederick Rasmussen seems to have is not planning on taking part in this race, which is a little tragic. Of course, obviously frustrated that he ran out of fuel in the last race, or has had some sort of technical issues, but he is not going to be on the grid for round number 2, which puts this firmly in the wheelhouse of Johan Hallberg in arguably the fastest car and arguably the fastest driver in either car. So this will be very exciting to see. It'll be on him to lose. Of course, he will need to come, I believe, third for Hans Gunnar Hansen to take this one for Norway. But it's looking very likely right now as we get ready on the grid now to go racing. That grid will be Johan Hallberg, Hans Gunnar Hansen, Mikael Engström, Robert Eriksson, Jens Hartvig, Karl-Ann Wormstrand, Jacob Groth, Anders Berven, Jimmy Nilsson, Per Sager, Joel Voxberg, Daniel Holberg, Greg Urison, and Norling as we get ready to take the green. Green flag is out. Away we go. Big start there by the Beck Fords. Huge start. Those cars we saw last time started a lot faster. And through go Engström and Eriksson to the lead of this race, past the Skip Barbers. Of course, the Skip Barbers faster over the race, but big starts last time and this time by Spec Fords. Huge start, Jake.
Yes, another great start from these SRF cars, but as you can see, Johan Hallberg has managed to fight his way back up into second place. A good getaway, though, from the leader, which I believe is Engström. I'm not too sure, get confirmation of that, but at the moment, Johan Hallberg is doing what he needs to do, keep ahead of Hans Gunnar Hansen, and his champion and his Race of Vikings win will be cemented.
It will be indeed, as the traffic is very dense here. Drivers bouncing off each other left, right and centre as we head to the first lap. Very tight conditions as we see running towards the front to try and get back to the lead here. It is Johan Hallberg chasing after that Spec Ford of Robert B. Eriksson in the 005 car. Huge jump by him and Mikael Engström. Engström, of course, has dropped back down to about 4th or 5th position. But we saw how quickly off the grid the Spec Fords really are.
Yeah, the Spec Fords have an absolute advantage here off of the start. Just get better traction off the
crash on the racetrack, and that's through Sheen Curve. One of your Spec Racer Fords. Going to find out who that is for you. And I believe that is the car of Jens Hartvig. It is. He's had a moment. We're going to replay it for you. Hartvig up the inside there of one of the other Spec Fords. too shallow into the Sheen curve, straight across and off he goes. Ends at number 14 out. We'll get it going again though. But a big moment for Jens Hartvig.
Yeah, shame there for Jens Hartvig there. Just lost the back end, and it seems that he's just trying to work now to get back onto the pack. As you can see now here, there's a battle going on between Hans Gunnar Hansen and the car behind him of Joel Voxberg. Not close enough there, but this is good battling throughout the field as we're looking to see point after point after point.
It is, and Hansen has damage, I believe. That car is wobbling a little bit, so suspension damage. We saw him tap a few of the cars in that first lap. A few of the spec Fords were throwing their covered wheeled weight around and bumping into a few of those very fragile open wheel Skip Barber cars. So a few Skip Barbers have taken wheel damage and suspension damage already thanks to that. So the spec Fords shuffling their way towards the front. A big drive here from Hans Gunnar Hansen, holding on to that position right now. Ahead of them though it is Jacob Groth in P number 3 in the 201. Hallberg is there in the 87 Skip Barber car. He will go to the outside of Robert Eriksson for the lead of your race. That is Johan Hallberg, last race's winner, now leading in the race of Vikings here at Brands Hatch. He will head towards through Hawthorne Curve, up there towards Westfield Bend and Dingle Dell as he will get going here. Of course, some of these names might sound quite interesting to our Scandinavian viewers, Jake, but English racetracks tend to have some rather curious names.
Yes, English tracks generally named after other drivers. Of course, Graham Hill, an F1 driver. Surtees, an F1 driver. Dingle Dell after the area, of course. As I'm looking at Paddock Hill Bend here between the battle between Eriksson and Hallberg. It seems that Eriksson is behind at the moment, just trying to work, get as much points as he can, try and get as much time out of Johan Hallberg. But at the moment, Hallberg has this race sorted out and will be the king of Vikings if he can keep it on the island.
Very much so. He has to keep this car on track, complete another 15 laps, and he will be the undisputed king of Vikings. Johan Hallberg fighting here to go back-to-back with victories in the King of Vikings tournaments 2015. So we have action on track with Matthias Norling there in the number 7 Skip Barber car. Sport Back Racer Ford even, as he has a knot of Skip Barbers behind him. That car did actually make the move through the corner of Druids down into Graham Hill. Skip Barbers everywhere for him, so big movement up ahead we have there. That is the car of Jimmy Nilsson. Was passed there by Mikael Enström, got that position back. Voxberg through as well. I think it's getting very tough.
Yeah, very tough indeed here, as you see going through the series of right-handers. Up on the run, it doesn't look like there's going to be any opportunity for an overtake.
Big crash! Sorry, Jake, we have to get a replay here. Big crash running into the Sheen curve there. And that was, 3 Skip Barber cars involved. First of them, that was not Jimmy Nilsson, that was Daniel Holbling, braking very early for the Sheen curve, possibly too soon. Into the back of him there goes the car of Per Seja, and big incident also there, collecting Tor Anders Berven behind them. Big moments.
Yes, it's a shame going through the right-hander, didn't quite get it sorted, and then thus the incident occurred. It's a real shame, and it looks like Holbing's race is well and truly over. As I look now back to the front, and it seems that Johan Hallberg has managed to get away by a gap of 1.2 seconds.
Very much so. If he has enough fuel in that race car, he will be the undisputed king of Vikings. He's broken the draft there, which is a major advantage for him. He should be able to pull away as we go on board now with number 2, Bill Voxberg, fighting there to keep the car of Mikael Enström behind him. I think he's just passed him earlier on. He made the pass there into Surtees. Great textbook move there by Voxberg. Gets it done, and he will hold on to it for now. We have Spec Racer Fords battling for P number 5 and P number 6 on the racetrack. That gap's starting to spread out, so Voxberg pulling a gap there. Up ahead of him, Hans Gunnar Hansen. We know he's got some wheel damage on that car, so tough drive for him so far in tonight's race. He will have to do what he can, but Team P number 4, realistically the only driver that can contend with Hallberg for the title of King of Vikings. He was 3rd last round, sitting 4th now. He needs problems on the racetrack for your leaders if he wants to take this one. Otherwise, it will not be enough, Jake.
No, he'll be praying for a little bit of traffic or something, or an issue with a wheel, or maybe even just running out of fuel like Rasmussen did in the first race. It would be really, really unfortunate for Johan Halberg, but it's just what he'll be wishing for, will Hans Gunnar Hansen. Just not quite enough at the moment, and the damage is just proving, at the moment, costly, but there are still 13 laps left of this race.
There are, and Johan Halberg has managed to open that gap now to 2.7 seconds on the racetrack. Big gap there as we have a fight for P number 2. That's the car there of 005 of Robert Eriksson's been passed by Jacob Groth in the 201 Skip Barber car. That car heading through into the 2nd spot. A good round for Groth. He had a poor race last time round, so he will have a very interesting battle here tonight. If he can hold on to this position, maybe even catch Johan Halberg, but it shouldn't do anything to change the current standings. Obviously, as positions run now, if the race finishes in this order, Johan Halberg and Sweden will claim the crown of the King of Vikings. I'm sure the crown probably has horns on it or something fake. Of course, they are Vikings, so might just drink out of it instead, so we'll have to see. But Johan Halberg leading the race right now, and the point standings as he comes up on lap traffic. That is, I believe, Per Sager. He's come out of the pits. He is damaged, as Halberg will be catching him. Also the car there of Tom Gregoriusen up the road from them, which will soon become a factor as well.
Yes, as we here look at Jimmy Nielsen here, the battle further down the field for about 6th or 7th here. Oh, he almost took out when he runs wide though instead. That is a mistake. Outbroke himself. What a shame for Jimmy Nielsen. Into the pits he'll go, and in the words of George Takei, I was almost saying, oh my.
Very much so, as Jimmy Nielsen nearly goes into the back there of Matthias Norling. That could have been a huge... No, so Michael Enstrom even. That could have been a huge impact. Which is, would have been race ending for both those cars. Thankfully, swerved it around. I'm not sure why he came to the pits. That car didn't make contact, so should have been okay. Looking a bit further up there, and he was hoping someone could beam him up to save him from that position. Also on Star Trek puns. Out at the front, running away at warp speed, Johan Halberg. Starting to catch lap traffic, that is Per Sager up ahead of him. Not really going to affect him right now. 4.1 seconds back to Jacob Groth in the other Skip Barber car. This race really starting to spread out.
Yes, we look now at Mikael Engström, number 11. He seems to be under attack right now. 2 SRFs side by side through the right-handers and the series of right-handers. Yeah, they're still side by side though. Engström now trying to hold on to it into this third right-hander even now, as they head up towards Dingledale and into yet another right-hander. They're still side by side, trying to run it around the outside. Is I believe Matthias Norling, if I'm correct, into the left-hander, gets it sorted. That is a good move, and that took half a lap of effort, and that takes car control.
I do not think, Jake, I have ever seen cars run side by side from Hawthorne Straight through the Sheen Curve. That was an impressive half a lap from these guys. And to see 2 cars take Sheen Curve side by side was incredible. But you know what? This has slowed them down so much, it's allowed Tor Anders Berven to catch up behind them. So that Skip Barber car in P8 would soon find himself in P number 6. Up towards the front, Jacob Groth is still in second. Gap still opened out over 5 seconds now from Johan Halberg. Plenty of time to save fuel if he wants to, but not needing to right now. Of course, last time by, Halberg ran a 39.83843. Jacob Groth a 40.747. So nearly a second faster last lap for Halberg. This gap is opening up at monumental speed. Robert Eriksson 41.9, dropping away like crazy. Not able to hold on.
No, he's just dropping away further and further. Halberg at the moment in a league of his own, in a race of Vikings of his own. He looks set at the moment to take the title here for 2015. Of course, Sweden, I think, took it last year. It looks like it will be 2 in a row for them.
Well, and we wouldn't lament, of course, the missing presence of Fredrik Rasmussen, the Danish driver who so very nearly won this last race and was so close. Of course, ran out of fuel through Sheen Curve. We thought it was a slowdown penalty, but had been saving fuel. They'd caught him, could have held it, ran out of juice. No motion without the lotion, unfortunately, and he just couldn't hold on. Second place, still had a chance to win this one. It would have been great to see what he would have done. Of course, probably the only rival to Hallberg on speed here. It would have been incredible to see what he could do in a Spec Racer Ford around this track, but of course, as it stands, nearly 6 seconds for Johan Hallberg back to Jacob Groth. Its gap only widening as it is a runaway pillaging session for the Swede.
Yes, and Hans-Gunnar Hansen, the only guy who could have made a change, is being caught at the moment by SRF car of Joel Voxberg. Voxberg at the moment on a charge, of course, took Engelstrom a couple of laps ago, and now he is trying to latch onto the back of Hans-Gunnar Hansen.
Very much so. Hansen just doing his best. Of course, that car has wheel damage, we know, so he is going to be under attack very soon. Voxberg in the Spec Ford there, coming for a top 4 finish. Hansen, well, he's just suffering, but he's driving so hard here. Have damage and still be in P number 4. It's an incredible effort by the Norwegian driver there in that number 5 Skip Barber racing car. Robert Eriksson up in front of them. Spec Ford behind, so in a bit of a Spec Racing sandwich. Refer back to lap 1 though, Jake. That's, I think, what made this race. The Spec Fords, very shouldery. They were bumping into Skip Barbers. Skip Barbers were having their wheels knocked about, so toe damage and suspension damage for Skip Barber cars, whilst not really much happened to those big, tough Spec Fords. A little controversial for first lap.
Yes, Skip Barbers are generally more delicate, like butterflies, generally more flowing once they get into the groove. Of course, the SRF car's very big and powerful off the line, but struggling around through the corners. But as you can see right now, it is advantage Hallberg in this battle. As you can
It is
see
very much so, as Hallberg. I just had something pointed out to me in the YouTube chat, Jake, that P number 1 is Swedish, P number 2 is Danish. If you put the contractions of those two names together, they spell Sweden. So, you could say it's been written in the cards for a Swede to win this race.
Oh yes, you definitely could say that. Jacob Groth, they're having a very good showing actually after his disappointment in the first race, doing everything he can at the moment, and Joel Voxberg now is starting to drop off of Hans-Gunnar Hansen. Lost, I think, about 2 seconds in that last lap.
He did. It's been a big, big drop off there, as we have got a retiree at the moment. That is Daniel Holbling. Had a technical issue with his car, so that one is over for him. As number 11, we're focusing on Michael Enstrom, fighting with Spec Fords. He's just been passed. So number 13 car of Tor Anders Berven got past him on the run out of 30s. These Spec Fords really not holding up to the Skip Barbers with the reduced weight penalty, Jake.
No, it's unfortunate because we thought that the ballast that we put on would have been enough, but at the moment it seems 1 and 2 being these Skip Barbers, 1, 2 and 4 even at the moment, as Tor Anders Berven runs wide just a little bit, keeps it going and keeps the gap at the moment. It seems though that it is going to be Skip Barber dominating against these SRFs.
There's, of course, we had a few out early on. That was Gregoriussen, Sager and Nilsson involved in that crash. Of course, well, no, we had Holbing actually was involved with those guys in the run up to the Sheen Curve. We lost Holbing with a technical fault on his car, so 4 Skip Barbers out. Otherwise, apart from Tor Anders Berven, Skip Barber's running in the top 4 positions. Obviously with Eriksson in 3rd in the Spec Ford. Anders Berven, though, moving up your grid. We could see, well, with 8 laps to go, a Skip Barber lockout for the top 5 positions.
It will be very interesting to see if they will manage to fight their way through the field. At the moment, Berven not managing to get away from Engelstrom. There's a little bit of a gap towards Matthias Norling up ahead. But at the moment, it seems 1, 2, 4 at the moment, hoping to make it 1, 2, 3. But that'll be all dependent on Robert B. Eriksson and if he can keep his SRF working and on the road.
Well, we're seeing Eriksson's dropping back from your leader, 16 seconds back right now. And that's another 9 seconds back to Hansen. The gap is reducing. Eriksson running 1 minute 44s. He was running 41, so lost a lot of time for him. Hansen running 42, so we really are looking at seeing Hansen catching and passing Ericsson even with damage on that car, so it's going to be a very telling next few laps to see exactly what could be made difference-wise there for those guys. But looking back at Berven, he's running 42.7s. Norling in the Spec Ford ahead of him is running 42.4s, 42.9 for Voxburg in the number 2 Spec Racer Ford, so I think it's looking pretty close in your midfield. It will be a big ask for Tor Anders Berven to make that up. But he's only 6 seconds away from Voxburg. We could see him conceivably into fifth place, but I'm not sure he has enough time unless Ericsson really drops off here to make that up. But everything's possible.
Anything is possible in the world of racing. It's all down to errors and mistakes and judgment, and this is what makes it exciting. It's human error. These guys are like aliens, like machines, pinpoint precision, but at the end of the day, what makes them human is what makes the drama of these sorts of races. The mistakes, for example, Rasmussen not turning up for this, making the championship fight a bit more exciting. Hans-Gunnar Hansen, for example, getting damage on the first lap. That made things more exciting, Rachel.
Very much so, as leading this race, Johan Halberg, he's pretty much taken a Mercedes role in this event. He's 8.8 seconds, 9 seconds now up the road. Of course, such a dominant position for him. He's fighting nobody. We're not going to focus on you, Johan. Sorry, Sweden, you won't get the coverage you wanted. But it's a bit boring watching one car on his own going around the racetrack. But it just spells the dominance we've seen from him so far. In both cars, we saw an incredible performance in the first round in the Spec Racer Ford, I apologise. Now in the Skip Barber. Looking back though at Matthias Norling. Here comes Tor Anders Berven on the first of the Spec Fords. He has to get out of the way. Matthias Norling there in that number 7 machine under attack from behind by the 13 of Anders Berven. And is looking for a position here. Sterling Bend, can he come through up towards Clearways in the Clark curve onto the Brabham straightaway at the front of your pit straight. Will we see a move here? Looks to the outside there for Anders Berven. Has it round, won't get the pass completed, but he'll get a good run through the corner. Norling trying to defend. He will go very shallow. Almost looks like he's giving that spot to Berven. Anders Berven going as deep as he can here into Paddock Hill. Will he hold it in? He won't. To back out for an undercut here as he tries to make a move stick. Just not enough time for him. He will try and get something done later on in this lap. We'll keep focused on this. This is a great battle, Jake.
Yes, it is, and you have to say the front pit straight is not actually level, it's banked, and it was banked in favour of Tor Anders Berven, and it looks like Matthias Norling managed to hold it off into Paddock Hill bend, trying to get the cut back. Norling just seemed to run a little bit wide, and now the gap's starting to pull out a little bit, but now this is the sort of area where Tor Anders Berven will be looking to pull back that gap, using the slipstream effectively. Gets onto the back.
Oh, here he goes.
Matthias Norling to the outside he goes. And will he make the move stick? We'll have to wait as they go down through the drop on the left-hand side. Will he make it stick? Yes, he will. Great move from Tor Anders Berven. He moves up into 6th position, and now he's on the chase for Joel Voxburg.
He is indeed 6 seconds at the road now to Voxburg, but we can see that happening. The times have been good there from Tor Anders Berven. Really pushing that Skip Barber hard. Could well see himself in a top 5 position here. Making a gap already from Norling. Norling's spinning out for Norling. Matthias Norling in the number 7 Spec Ford spins hard in the racetrack. That car thankfully spins straight again and he can carry on, but some light bodywork damage. No, he seems to have escaped relatively unharmed, so a very lucky moment there for Matthias Norling, but he's definitely lost now, Berven. He could have fought him back. Won't be able to happen now. So far back as Berven will cross the line. He will take the 6th position on the racetrack, and he will be a whole, find out now, 5 seconds at the road from Norling. Norling so far back. Unfortunate for him, no, a whole 10 seconds, so big gap. Enstrom, he's 4 seconds behind the car there of Anders Berven, but hadn't been catching him, so we'll see what happens here as we see Anders Berven going after Joel Voxburg. Voxburg last time by 42.3. As he has traffic to navigate. Oh, that's the car of Hans-Gunnar Hansen. Hansen is struggling, so we're looking at something happening on the racetrack here. Hansen just, well, we saw he had damage early on. He's been caught now by Joel Voxburg. Will we see a Spec Ford in the top 5 displace one of the Skip Barber cars? Hansen holding on though, been a momentous drive with a damaged car though, Jake.
Yes, he was 6 seconds ahead though coming into this lap, and now the gap has been completely eradicated now from Hans Gunnar Hansen. He'll have to be very wary of Joel Voxberg, who is instead catching both of them though, is Tor Anders Berven. As you can see through the series of right-handers, the third of the right-handers now into the left we go. Can he make anything work? No. It'll be interesting to see if the run down to Paddock Hill Bend will bring any new news.
We'll have to keep an eye on this one. It's certainly the most exciting battle we have right now. Of course, the lead between Hallberg and Gross, P1, P2, is up to 11.3 seconds. So an astronomical number, as we have just under 5 laps remaining here at Brands Hatch to decide the king of the Vikings. And there's one man currently eyeing up that crown, that horned crown of the Viking Lord. Probably not, but, you know, it'll do for the analogy I'm trying to make here. Johan Hallberg has been so incredibly dominant so far. Ran second and then took the race at the last moment with a mistake from Rasmussen on his fuel. Hallberg now leading dominantly in this race, as we have potential trouble. Oh, we do! Trouble for the 005 of Robert Eriksson. We're going to get a replay of what happened. Oh, big incident for him in Druids. Coming up to Druids, the car's back end steps out. Round he goes, can't stop it going. Bonk into the inside Armco. As, well, he hits the Armco, then appears to decide to start a new career as a breakdancer and not a racing car driver.
Oh, that is a shame. He was in third position at the time, and it seems that he couldn't just get that sorted. What a shame there for Robert B. Eriksson. He was the lead car for the SRFs, but now it seems lead car will be Joel Voxberg, and now it's a 1, 2, 3 for the Skip Barbers.
It is, and it could soon be a 1, 2, 3, 4. As Tor Anders Berven is coming hard. He is, last time by, ran a 42.0, 43.0 for Voxberg. Voxberg has gone from catching Hans Gunnar Hansen to dropping away from him. And we'll soon find out, because last time by, Hansen had a 1:48, so a very slow lap from him. But obviously that's why he closed up to Voxberg. This time by, the gap has widened, so Voxberg falling back into the clutches of Berven, and Hansen pulling away. With Eriksson in the pits, this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the non-accident involved Skip Barber cars. So perhaps that weight penalty change was not as effective at equalising these cars for this round as we expected. Of course, in the first round we did see, Jake, it was a really even match. Both cars identical, really.
Yes, I do have to agree, but it seems though with the switch for Johan Hallberg into the quicker car, he has just found some sort of pace which sets him apart from the rest of the field. He is 13 seconds down the road with 3 laps to go. I don't want to say anything yet, but it looks like he has one hand well and truly placed on this trophy.
Very much so. One hand on the trophy, one hand on the wheel right now as he has to cruise essentially 3 more laps. If he needs to save fuel, he can do that. He has plenty of time. I'm not sure he could come down pit road for a splash and dash if it was needed, but in a great position to take this one. His competition, of course, Hans Gunnar Hansen, 40 seconds back. So Hallberg could conceivably come down pit road, Jake, for a splash and dash and retain that position if it was fuel only.
Yes, he could, but at the moment, Hans Gunnar Hansen is under attack from Joel Voxberg. What work there from that SRF to get back onto the back of the Skip Barber. He'll be looking for some sort of run as they head through Clark and Clearways and down towards turn 1 of Paddock Hill Bend, the right-hander down the hill. At the moment, it seems that he's not close enough yet. We'll hope to see that he gets even closer in the later corners.
Big advantage, of course, is he's in the draft air of Hansen, which keeps him close. Hansen's battling that slightly wobbly car from the first lap. Was last time by, Voxberg ran a 42.0, Tor Anders Berven 42.2, so they were catching. He's now dropping back, 5 seconds back from the first position SRF, which of course we are not running multi-class. This is one class with weight penalties to balance the cars, so 4th position overall for Voxberg. He started P11, Jake. An incredible climb for him. So a huge improvement, the biggest mover in this race at least.
Yeah, he's done some amazing work, making the overtakes work, taking advantage of the retirements to try and get himself back in the field now as he's back into the slipstream here. down the drop. The Pilgrim's drop moves to the left-hand side. I don't think he's got enough of the run at the moment. He will have 2 more laps to try and make it sorted. He won't get it done into the right-hander, but he might just have to wait.
Well, and we'll find out what happens to those two. This battle definitely cooking things up as he is so close to back there of Hansen. Looking to the inside as we head up Dingle Dell, up towards the Sheen curve. Hopefully he will be winning when he comes out of there, but not right now. As Joel Voxberg will have to sit behind the car of Hans-Gunnar Hansen. Hansen just holding on now to his position by the skin of his teeth. That car's wounds starting to show as he comes under attack from that number 2 machine with Voxberg at the wheel. Voxberg doing an incredible job here. Really the fastest of the Spec Fords that are left in this race, with accidents happening for other drivers, especially, of course, last time by we saw Mikael Enstrom having that problem. It wasn't Enstrom, I apologise, actually, it was Robert B. Eriksson had that issue. He is back out on track, 1 lap down in 10th place. So
There's contact!
Oh, we have contact between
the two, and
Hansen.
round will go Joel Voxberg. What a shame for him. He was really having a good fight there with Hans-Gunnar Hansen. It was contact, and there is Tor Anders Berven now making it a top 4 for the Skip Barbers.
Well, let's have a quick replay on this one between Hansen and Voxberg. Looking at them now as they approach turn number 1. And you can clearly see there, Voxberg does come down to take the normal line. Not really giving room there to Hans-Gunnar Hansen on the inside, Jake. So I think we can place that one on Voxberg. Unfortunately, he's had a great race today, but just a little lapse in concentration.
Yeah, it is a shame. He was doing so well. He only had 2 laps to go to try and cement a good position in that SRF, cement some good points in the race of Vikings. But there is one man who is out in front as he starts his last lap. It is Johan Halberg. Halberg has done an amazing job. He's got a 1/4 of a minute gap over Jacob Groff in the same car as him. But right now, Johan Halberg seems to have this one all wrapped up.
Very much so. Johan Halberg doing everything he needs to do here today. One more time around this 2.61 mile track. He will be the king of Vikings. Jacob Groff in second. Looking like a good run from him. Hans-Gunnar Hansen, of course, wasn't a threat there from Voxberg. Voxberg, a big mistake, though. It cost him so much. He's now running back in 5th place as we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Skip Barber cars in your top 4. Hansen, though, seems like getting hit on the right side of his car. Fixed the damaged suspension on the left, so they seem to be pretty balanced now, actually. A car back working as it wanted to. And one more time around now for Tor Anders Berven to hold off Joel Voxberg to make it a Skip Barber 1, 2, 3, 4. Can he hold on for one more lap? Up ahead, though, Halberg running up through the Sheen curve one last time. 2 more corners to go, and Johan Halberg will have the horned helm of the King of Vikings all to his own, and Sweden will retain the title of King of Vikings. Halberg now, 1 more corner, up clearways, through the Clark curve, out onto the Brabham Straight. Johan Halberg will be the 2015 King of Vikings. Race winner round 1, race winner round number 2. Focusing back on Hans-Gunnar Hansen, though. Not Hansen, sorry, Tor Anders Berven fighting there with Voxberg. He will hold him off at the moment as we run down through the fastest part of the track, down Pilgrim's Drop. Gap back to Voxberg is about a second, so he's in a good position right now, Jake. Can he hold him off as Groth, of course, is finished? Hansen has 2 more corners to complete. He will hold 3rd. Can Berven hold off the car there of Voxberg?
It'll be an interesting final 2 corners to see if he will close up. At the moment, the gap seems to be diminishing quite a bit, but I don't think he is quite close enough here as Joel Voxberg in the SRF. Final corner. Can he make a last-minute move? No, he can't. He might have a little run,
Again.
but I don't think... Look, he's gaining. It'll be a battle for the line. Moves to the left-hand side. Who will get 4th position? It's going to be too tight to call. And I think, yes, Joel Voxberg has just got it by just 1/100th of a second. What tenacity!
Joel Voxberg there with the last lap pass of the race. Voxberg breaks the Skip Barber 1, 2, 3, 4 in the results and will take P number 4 from Tor Anders Berven by not a 10th of a second, by not even a 100th of a second, well no, just over 100th of a second. It was literally Wow, that was 0.1017 of a second between the two of them. That was the closest we've seen. Looking at it from blimp camera there. Wow, what a finish. It might have been for 4th and 5th, but it might as well have been for the race win, Jake. That was an incredible finish. Well, we're going to get those results up for you on the screen now, and we will run through your finishing positions from round number 2 of the Race of Vikings. Johan Halberg in P number 1, Jacob Groth in 2nd, 3rd place Hans-Gunnar Hansen. Joel Voxberg steals P number 4 at the last moment for the 1st position Spec Racer Ford. Poor Anders Berven will have to settle with 5th. Karl Enstrom, P number 6, Matthias Norling, P number 7, Karl Arne Vonstrand, P number 8, Tom Gregorison, P number 9, Jacob Bjeriksen, P10, Per Seger, P11, Jimmy Nilsson, Jens Hartvig, and Daniel Holbling, rounding out your top 14 drivers. There was one name conspicuous by his absence, and that was Fredrik Rasmussen. He was the race 2nd position driver in the 1st round. Did not take part today. Well, Johan Halberg had to win to take the championship. He does. Johan Halberg is your king of Vikings. Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial. We'll be back afterwards, and we will hopefully have some interviews for you. Join us soon.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
The longboats have returned from their trip overseas. King of Vikings has been decided, and it is, of course, the driver of Johan Hallberg. He has been crowned 2015 King of Vikings as we are back here for post-race interviews on RaceSpotTV. Johan, incredible racing from you. Both cars, dominant driver. Of course, you were so close to being second in the first round to the driver of Fredrik Rasmussen. No sign of Rasmussen in race 2. Clean run for you to the flag. You had an incredible race tonight.
Yeah, I'm super happy about tonight. Been practicing a lot this week, so I'm super happy. And I feel a little bit sorry that Rasmussen didn't race the second heat. So.
Of course, we found out it was a fueling problem for him in race number 1. Saving fuel allowed you to catch him and then pass him. And he nearly held it off in the final lap, but you managed to get past. The second race, though, in both events you saw the Spec Fords so incredibly fast off the line, much more so than the Skip Barbers.
Yeah, I noticed Rasmussen was saving fuel quite early, I guess, and then he tried to overtake me again in the last lap, I think. But he ran out of fuel again, I think. I don't know. But the Spec Ford, I'm not driving it a lot, and it's kind of slippery in the back, so it's kind of hard to drive for me.
I could certainly agree with you there. Spec Ford was rear engine to Skip Barber's mid-engine car, so different handling properties. Whilst similar, they are almost too similar to be different. So a challenging event, really, putting both drivers in both cars. How did you approach that challenge of having to drive two cars fast around the same track on the same night?
Well, I was scared at the beginning. That's why I chose to practice the Spec Ford a lot this week, because I drive the Skippy a lot other times. So, but I feel the first time I tried the Spec Ford, I just spun out every time. So, but then I got faster and faster, and so yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's fun to drive, so.
Well, we were talking about it during the broadcast, and just one last thing to ask you. Obviously, do you plan to wear your King of Vikings crown, the horns, or do you plan to drink from it?
I plan to drink from it.
Excellent answer from Johan Hallberg, your King of Vikings 2015. And the gentleman we can obviously call the Crown Prince of Vikings is Hans-Gunnar Hansen. He came home today in second place, holding up the flag for Denmark. Hans-Gunnar Hansen, incredible race from you, and some difficult, trying times in that second race.
Yeah, thanks. Not from Denmark, but Norway.
Norway, sorry, I'm so
yeah.
sorry. Reading the wrong flag.
Yeah, I had an incident on the second corner on the first lap, so I got a damaged car, and the steering wheel was offset after that, and we really struggled to drive. So I had
obviously we saw a lot of contact.
Keeping the cars behind.
Yeah, we saw some contact between the Spec Fords and the Skip Barbers on those first few laps. With the damaged car, how hard was it to go so fast and actually catch and pass drivers with damage?
Yeah, I had to learn the car again and just try to keep calm and keep up the pace.
Well, incredible second position for you in this race, and hopefully first next year?
Well, hopefully. It will be difficult.
Well, good luck next time, and thank you. We also have Joel Voxberg here. Joel, another Swedish driver. Glad to see a Swede in victory lane here today, and incredible race from you as well, up until that second to last lap in the second race, where you made contact with Hans-Gunnar Hansen, which I believe actually broke his car so much it might have fixed it. You had a moment you were passed by Tor Anders Berven. You managed to get past him and secure fourth, the highest finishing Spec Racer Ford in race 2, and the biggest mover in race 2 from P11 on the grid, number 4.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to go up so high in rankings, especially with the Spec Racer. It's really hard to drive and keep on track. Yeah, and the last hit with Hans-Gunnar there was very unfortunate. Didn't see him really but I couldn't just go straight either, so that's racing, I guess.
Well, an incredible race for you nonetheless. Of course, we're also joined now by Carl Frederick Herzog. Carl, you are the organizer for the King of Vikings tournament. How do you think it went?
Yeah, I think it went well. I'm a bit unhappy about, of course, some incidents ruining the races, but overall it was a good race, good battles. So yeah.
Very
And-
exciting two-race tournament for us in this format, and the combination of the weight balance ballast in the cars certainly made it exciting.
Yeah, we tried to make the Skip Barber just a tiny bit faster and made people drive Skip Barber in one race and SRF in the other. So you had to know how to defend, know how to attack in order to win.
Very much so, and well, maybe we'll see you in the car next year for the King of Vikings tournament.
Yeah, if I can manage to organize and practice, then perhaps, yeah.
I know how that pain for you very much. Well, you gave me the points just before we came on air. We can now go through the top 5 drivers for you in the 2015 King of Vikings tournament. Of course, your King of the Vikings, that is Johan Halberg, in P number 1 overall. Hans-Gunnar Hansen, P number 2, and it was Jacob Groth in P3. Mikael Engström in P4, and Tor Anders Berven in position 5. An incredible race tonight. 2 incredibly interesting and tough races at Brands Hatch. Track with so many elevation changes, so many different corners, and a champion and a king was crowned. So of course you can join us next year for more, hopefully. As I've been Rachel Wyford, I've been joined by Jacob Sperry tonight, Hugo Lewis in the cameras. We've had Carl Frederick Herzog here, the organizer, and well, that was the King of Vikings. He's been crowned. See you next time on RaceSpotTV.